Celtic Manor, the exciting new golf and country club in Wales, which is home to one of the world's most inspirational players, Ian Woosnam.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to show you some basic things what I try to do when I'm practicing or when I'm getting prepared for a tournament.
Popular with club golfers because of his straightforward advice and down-to-earth manner, Woosnam is always in demand at golfing clinics.
A good rest position and a good posture. If you haven't got them, you're not really going to swing the club that well.
Son of a farmer based at Oswestry, Woosnam's natural sporting ability shone through at an early age. He could have been a footballer, but golf won him over.
When you're a kid and you pick up a club, you just tend to turn your shoulders and do everything naturally, and I think I've just gone from there, really.
I don't think Ian likes to spend too much time thinking about the shot. He sees it naturally. In other words, you can see the shape of the shot that's required. He's got good club choice skills, so that doesn't cause him any grief. And he just literally sees the shot and he plays it.
Ian Woosnam wasn't an overnight success. This camper van, the symbol of his early struggles playing the tour. And yet his gutsy approach and determination enabled him to win the battle and become a superstar. The 1982 Swiss Open was the first of to date over 30 tour wins by Woosnam, including 2 world match play titles at Wentworth, all of them achieved with that unique blend of aggression, enthusiasm and flair. The fans simply love him. He's the people's champion.
He's very appealing in terms of his humanity to people. He's a fantastic golfer with great ability, but he's just an ordinary human being.
Woosnam's lifestyle might mark him out as extraordinary, but like the rest of us, he too can find the game frustrating. Sometimes he loses that magical putting touch, sometimes it's his swing that goes wrong. 1995 was a particularly bad year. In trying to further improve his simple technique, much admired by Seve Ballesteros, the former Masters winner and world #1 lost his rhythm. It was only when making a television program which used super slow motion cameras that Woosnam was able to examine his swing in more detail.
I learned a lot because seeing my backswing and coming down in such a slow motion, I could see a lot of faults in my swing, and it certainly did help my swing.
Woosnam returned with a bang. He won 4 tournaments in 1996 and was back to the form that has made him a winner around the world.
The winner's cheque of $180,000 to Ian Woosnam, ladies and gentlemen.
Back to Golf Made Simple, the Woosie way.
What we're going to do is work on the grip. What we call is a 2-knuckle grip. We want 2 knuckles showing on the left hand. To get that, you need to have the V of your left hand here, pointing in between your shoulder and your chin. And then from there, you need to have your right hand with the V of your right hand pointing similar place in between your chin and your shoulder. Oh, just chin and shoulder. Once you've got that right, basically, you know, you can either turn the ball to hook it or you can fade the ball. See, if the grip is too weak, you're going to slice the ball. If the grip is too strong, you're going to hook the ball. So mainly if we can get the grip right, you're going to start the swing properly. What you must remember is to make good shots, you've got to have good rhythm and good balance. And you know, if you do all the basics right, you've got a chance of hitting the ball correctly. How do we get that rhythm? How do we get that swing? What I try to concentrate is getting my backswing nice and wide and getting up to the top. The way I try to do this is make sure I go through my same routine, make sure I get my weight onto my right side a little bit with my head behind the ball. And from there, I'm going to try and keep the club nice and wide, turning my back to the target, the intended play, getting the club up to the top of the backswing nice and wide, having my wrist nice and straight. Well, when you want to get to the top of the backswing, you don't want to have your wrist too too cupped like that, that's what we call cupped, which is open, or too shut, which is like laid off, where the club face is shut. If you have it shut like that, when you come into the ball, it's going to be shut and de-lofting the club. Or also, if it's too open, as when you come down, the club's going to be too open and it's going to slice the ball off to the right. What you need to do when you get to the top of the swing is to have it nice and square, so when it comes down on the inside, it's going to be nice and square at impact. These are some of the things I think about on the backswing, and when I'm doing the follow through, is when I get to the top, I'm going to feel like I'm going to turn my chest to the target, extending the club through to the target, and feel like almost I've thrown a discus. I'm going to throw the discus through the ball. Is where I'm going to use all my weight and all my power to get through the ball. To help me achieve this, I use a few simple clubs, especially for my rhythm. I use a club like this. It doesn't look very good, it's a little bit whippy, as you can see. This club is mainly for giving me balance and good rhythm. If I swing the club too fast, as you can see, the shaft is very whippy. All I do is got to go back nice and slow and come through nice and slow. Let's see if it'll work. I use this club for a few hits before I use my driver usually. Once I learn to control this club, it makes it easier to hit my other driver and helps me to hit more fairways and to give my length. It's not about how hard you hit the ball, it's how good you time it and your rhythm is good. It's not bad today. The ladies can usually hit it because they swing a lot slower. Oh, you made contact. Even the driver moved in here. Shook the ground. Let's put it on a tee peg. It might help a little bit. Very good. A few swings with this gets the rhythm back and gets your balance back and everything. And other things I practice as well is when, to help me achieve to get more power and to get more length, is when I'm getting my dress position, make sure I got my weight on the right side. It's a nice little exercise to practice, is lifting your left foot off the ground, lifting your right foot off the ground. So it's creating the power, the width and everything. So that's mainly the 3 things or 4 things I think about. So let's just go back to that. Hit a couple more drivers to finish off with. Feet together, aim the club face, left foot, right foot. Make sure I get a nice smooth backswing. Turn all the way through it. So 4 things to remember is keep it wide on the backswing, turn your back to the target, get your hands in the right position at the top, then come down, use your weight through the ball, feel like you're throwing a discus and keeping your chest to the target. Well, let's just wander on down to the next tee and just try and hit some long irons. What's important, what we've just done now, is if you have the chance to go out and hit a few balls before your practice, even if your club hasn't got the facilities, try and go down to the net and hit a few balls in the net. But if you have got the chance to go down to the driving range and hit a few short iron shots and then some long iron shots and then hit some drivers, just to get yourself loosened up before you go on to the first tee, because that does help a lot, especially if you can get around the putting green, hit a few short putts and some long putts and just get a feel for the game. So let's go down here and hit a few long iron shots. The long iron. What's important with the long iron is to have very good rhythm again, but to have the ball in the right position in your stance. Where a lot of amateurs have a lot of trouble and not a lot of confidence, they tend to try and hit the ball in the air too much. They tend to get the ball too far forward in their stance. I'll take up my dress position here. And what a lot of amateurs tend to do is get the ball too far level with the left toe. If they do that, what they're going to tend to do then is when they come down, they're going to hit their divot or even hit the ground before the ball and come over the top of it, because they're trying to hit the ball in the air all the time. The best thing to do is when you're hitting your long irons is to make sure you get the ball in the right position, which is about level with the left heel or even a little bit further back, so you're going to have a little bit of a downward blow on the shot to help the ball go in the air. Obviously, if you want to hit the ball a little bit lower with a 1 or 2 iron, especially going into the wind, you fetch it back level towards your right foot, and then this is a very good shot to hit into the wind. But again, hit down and through the ball. What you don't want to be doing is trying to lift the ball in the air. You see, again, a lot of amateurs, when they're coming through, their head is up so quick and their body comes out of the shot and they hit behind the ball or they top it. So concentrate at keeping your head down and hitting down through the ball. And once you've got a bit of confidence, you can start doing other kinds of shots, especially if the wind's off the right and you want to hook the ball into the wind. I can turn my stance to the right and aim to the right with my shoulders and my feet and hook the ball into the wind. Trying to keep the swing exactly the same, but the most important thing I'm trying to do again is hit down on the ball. You see all the top pros do that. They always hit a little divot with their irons, and that's essential for a long iron shot. If I want to hit the ball in the air with a long iron, I move the ball forward, but again I keep my weight on my left foot and keep it there all the way through the swing. Hit the ball up in the air. But again, it's like the driver or a 3-wood or anything. Try and make a long, smooth backswing. Don't let it get too short. If it gets too short, it's going to be too quick. So make sure you concentrate on getting that club nice and wide and up to the top of the swing, so it gives you time to hit down on the ball. Again, right to the top of the swing, hit down and through. So a few things you've got to remember is get the ball into the right position, level with your left heel, take the club back nice and wide, turn your shoulders, and make sure you get up to the top of the swing, which will give you plenty of time to come down through and collect the ball and get through the shot. But if you're still having trouble with your long irons, get your 5-wood or your 7-wood out, and I'm sure that'll improve your game as well. Three-wood off the deck. That's one thing I noticed in the peak performance. How much I kept my head still and how much I turned my shoulders. Just like a door opening and a door shutting. There's a couple of other tips I want to tell you about as well. One is to make sure when you're taking your backswing is to make sure your left shoulder gets behind the ball, and then when coming down, keeping the left side of your face pointed to the target as long as possible till you've gone through the ball. So let's just go through that once again. Get your dress position, aim the club face, get your feet as wide as your shoulders. And that we're going to think about is getting my left shoulder behind the ball, open the door and shut the door. Things to remember: opening the door, shutting the door. Also, make sure your left shoulder gets behind the ball, and when you're coming down, make sure you keep the left side of your face aiming to the target. And the last of all, make sure you get the ball in the right position. Level with your left heel, with your feet as wide as your shoulders. If you keep doing that, you're going to hit good shots off the fairway. Well, we've moved inside now. We're going to analyze some of my swings on the new computers that they've got here. This is where I come all the time to check my swing, if it's online, if I've got the ball in the right position, if it's too far back in my stance or too far forward. Basically what I'm going to do now is do 3 kinds of swings: a straight shot, a slice shot and a hook shot. What we're going to do is what we've done before, is start with my feet together, aim the club face for a straight shot, straight at the target, moving my left foot first, my right foot second. So I've got a nice straight line here, which is parallel to the target. Always remember the club face is aiming at the target, not too far right, not too far left. Straight down this white line. From there we're going to take a nice, slow shoulder turn my back to the target, then turn my chest to the target. And hopefully that one went straight. Hope you can see the line straight through the ball and swinging straight to the target. And secondly, what we're going to do now is try the fade shot. As you'll see, when I line up, I'll be aiming well left with my feet. The club face is very important to have it aiming straight at the target. And when you're hitting a fade, a lot of people tend to aim the club face too far left, and then they wonder why they pull the ball. So what we're going to do again, start with our feet together, aim the club face at the target, then move my left foot first, but way left, and moving my right foot so it's going to be across the ball. But most importantly, my club face is aiming straight at the target. Standing way left, with my shoulders open as well. From here, the club face is going to go back on the outside and coming across. And then from there, we're going to do the opposite and do a draw shot. Again, aiming the club face at the target with my feet together. Move my left foot first so it's aiming to the right and pulling back my right foot. From here, I'm going to keep the club nice and low and on the inside. So I'm going to come from the inside to the outside. Again, which is important, is to have the club face aiming at the target. What we need is the ball to finish at the target. If it's aiming too far right, the ball's going to start too far right and only draw back so far. So aim the club face at the target, pull it back on the inside, and swing through out to the right, where you want the ball to start. Well, from here now, I'm going to go on the analysing machine and see if them swings have worked.
Well, Ian, I thought the swing looked really good today. You've been really making a nice movement. The only sort of comment I would have, really more in the address position here, is that I noticed when you use a longer club, you tend to get your left toe pointing outward a little bit more. Not so bad here with the 5-iron, but it can add a little restriction, to your swing.
Yeah, okay, I've been having a little bit of trouble trying to get the club back. It does tend to get a little bit steep. What do you recommend? Turn it in a little bit then?
Well, if that toe turns in more square onto the ball, I mean, it shouldn't be square at the ball, but in towards it, then you're going to find that the turn is going to be much freer. You're going to have less stress on your hips and lower back, and the turn then can, really make a flowing movement to there. And if you look in there, you can just see that slight tension in that right hip. It seems to raise up a bit, doesn't it?
Especially my left arm tends to get a little bit narrow and a bit bent as well, and that's only because I'm trying to swing the club longer.
Sure, you can't make the width, can you, to your swing that you want to make? I mean, down you come and you're having to work a little bit at that, a little harder than necessary through the ball. But I mean, overall, that's looking pretty good.
Does everything else look all right, mate?
Very good. I mean that's all there, isn't it? I mean, it's a nice flowing movement. Everything's coordinated. I'll pop you into the other camera angle. Let's have a look from here. We can see here the address position's comfortable. You wouldn't want to get your head down any lower than that particularly, but I mean, there's that sort of foot restricting it a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tending to lift my head up when I'm getting to the top of the swing.
Sure, just having to move it a slight bit. Yeah, it's just there, isn't it? I mean, you can just see that, just that slight movement.
And you can actually see how far my foot is sticking out there at the top of the swing, isn't it?
It's a good position there at the top though, you know?
Nice and square, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's where we were talking about having the arm pretty straight at the top there.
Yes, yeah, it is. That's good. Down it comes. Really nice swing path here. And through. Nice weight transfer, really. It's just you're having to work a little harder than necessary, and that just makes that difference under pressure, doesn't it, in a tournament circuit?
Maybe that's why I feel tired all the time.
That's great.
What about the fades and the draws?
Okay, here we go. So what I just wanted to show you here, and I think this was a great tip for club golfers. Obviously the diagonal line is the swing plane line, the angle of the swing, but everything you've done at address position is really setting up that movement of the swing, isn't it? Exactly. Look at the way that club goes outside on the left-hand picture for the fade, coming up a lot steeper in the backswing, whereas on the right-hand picture it's sort of low and shallow, wider swing altogether. I mean, much steeper upward movement. Club head's outside the yellow line here. And what's interesting, I think, really for club golfers is just the different position you get at the top. If we get into the two positions there, we can really see, can't we, the really laid off club shaft position here, and this one is across the line and sort of pointing, to the right of the target. I mean, really, they're parallel to the body line, aren't they?
Exactly. It's where the ball wants to start out, either going right to left or left to right. Sure,
very, very much so. And obviously a much more sort of bigger body turn on the right-hand picture, because you've got the freedom to turn in the backswing from there. Then down we come, and it just follows the path you set it up at address, really. Well underneath the plane.
Still coming from the outside, going across, and coming from the inside, going out.
Very much so. And this was a nice little interesting point here, how the two club heads had moved underneath on the left-hand side, the swing plane, and outside on the right-hand picture. And although it's not overly clear here on the screen, this club face is more open on the left-hand picture for the fade, whereas it's rotated a lot more here over on the right-hand picture, isn't it?
That's exactly, yeah.
And up you go, through to the end of the swing, and right through. Really, they look identical swings, don't they? When you end it, it's just an identical swing. You just aimed in a different direction and swung in that direction.
That's right, just at my hips are further left, on the left-hand one.
That's it, exactly. Cleared it.
Well, it's
okay,
good, Keith.
Great. Pretty good, pretty good, Ian.
It's great to see something like this, especially to check my swing and everything, and thanks very much for doing that for me.
Great, pleasure.
As you can see, I've driven into the bunker here, and approximately I've got 175 yards. And the main thing, when you're in a bunker, is to try and catch the ball, then the sand. So for me, it's about a 5-iron distance. So what I'm going to do to make sure I get a good clean contact is take a 6-iron and play it off my back, in the back of my stance. So what we don't want to do is play the ball too far forward. We want to make sure we get the ball towards the right foot. So I'm going to catch the ball, then the sand. The trajectory of the ball is going to go a little bit low, but that's going to help me get it to the target. And that's the main idea, is to get the ball, then the sand. I don't want to rub my feet too far into the ground, because if I do, I'm going to catch too much sand. So gently put your feet into the sand, bend your knees slightly, and back in the stance, and it's very important to try and keep your head still when you're in the sand. Try and keep it up, don't let it drop. Keep your head nice and high, and try and get a good clean contact. As you can see, I caught the sand first, so let's try again to see if I can catch it right this time. Again, play it back in my stance, keeping my head still, and then hit the ball, then the sand. There we go, a much better contact. Another little useful tip is to get another ball and place it down and to draw a line each side of it. What I'm going to try and do here is hit the ball and then the sand and make sure that the sand is going to be it after that line. It's a good way of checking if you're doing it properly. So again, I'm going to have the ball back in my stance, not too deep with my feet, so I can make sure I get the ball, then the sand. As you can see there, the sand has just been hit exactly the same time as where the ball was lying. If possible, if you can get the sand after the ball, would give you a better strike. So remember, play it back in your stance, take a club less because the ball is going to go a little bit lower, and try and hit the ball, then the sand. We've moved up a couple of clubs now, and this is a typical lie of Celtic manner. Uphill lies you get here, downhill lies, side hill lies. And the main thing here, we've got a 6-iron distance, and because it's uphill, what I'm going to do is take a 5-iron because the ball's going to go higher. Obviously, I could play a 6-iron, play it back in my stance a little bit, but then I'd be ending up, my weight would be too much on my left foot, and when I come into impact, the club is just going to bury into the ground and get clogged up in the ground. When I'm playing an uphill shot, what I like to concentrate on is getting my body lined up to the hill. If I've got my shoulders on the same level and my weight slightly back a little bit more, I know the ball's going to go high, but I'm going to compensate by taking one club more. So we do exactly the same as usual, feet together, left foot, right foot, and set my body to the angle of the slope. So when I come through, I'm going to get a nice shallow divot. If you tend to have too much weight on your left foot at address, you can see your angle of your shoulders is too much down, and when you come into the ball, you're going to punch it too much. This is okay if you want to go into the wind and keep the ball low, but for more consistency, try and stand with the slope and you'll get more consistent shots. Well, we played the uphill lie with a 5-iron. Obviously, if you're playing on a downhill lie, the same principles apply, but to the opposite. Have your weight on your left foot a little bit more, have your body aligned to the ground, and make sure you take a club less when you're going downhill and keep the club low down through the ball when you're playing on a downhill slope. Well, let's move forward another 30 yards and try a ball which is above your feet where the ball's going to hook. Well, here we are on the side slope. As you can see, there's quite a bit of a slope here. Only a distance of maybe 120 yards. But it's most important to remember how to get a bit of control from this shot. What I'm going to try and demonstrate here is how to have a controlled shot from 120 yards. When I see most amateurs playing from this distance, they try and hit their wedge, and they're trying to force a shot where you need a controlled one. What I tend to do on this shot is to go down the grip a little bit so it shortens the club, so it's easier to stand to the slope. If I was holding too far up the shaft, my swing is going to get too flat and too rounded and make the ball hook too much and have too much height on it. So the secret is to go down the grip maybe 2 or 3 inches and make sure that you're going to aim well enough right to enable the ball to turn from right to left to get to the pin. Make sure as well that your feet and club face are aiming to the right. For instance, this shot I'm going to aim maybe at the right hand trap, the short one, taking a nice aim, my stance fairly wide because I need a good balance to keep me balanced on the slope. And from there, what I'm trying to do is have a more 3/4 swing. Not too far back or you're going to lose balance. That's why I'm taking a 9-iron instead of a wedge. So 3/4 of the way back and feel like you're punching the ball. That one came up a little bit short, but again it was controlled. What I could do is take an 8-iron, but what I'll try and do now is hit a little bit harder with a 9-iron, still aiming right, 3/4 swing and a little bit harder. It's always better to take plenty of club. If you try to hit a wedge, the ball's going to go too high and hook too much. So the secret is down the shaft, give yourself so you can get closer to the ball and try and swing 3/4 and aim right with your feet and the club face. That's better. So remember, when you're hitting these shots, make sure you go down the grip, stand to the right, aim your club face to the right, and remember the ball's going to be spinning right to left as well. As you can see, I've just hit a 6-iron over the trees. It's most probably the most simplest shot for me, but I do have two other options. Earlier in the academy, I explained the hook on a slice. Now I'm going to hit a 7-iron with a right to left shape around the tree and try and get it on the green. Why I'm taking a 7-iron is because what I'm going to do here is play the ball back in my stance, and also I've got a closed stance as well, like I did in the academy. So I'm going to swing the club on the inside and out through the line to make the ball go right to left. Because I'm hitting a 7-iron and I'm de-lofting the club, it's going to go as far as a 6-iron. So let's see if we can get this on the green. Back in the stance, my feet closed, so I'm going to swing the club on the inside and then swing through it, and hopefully the shape of the ball will hook onto the green. That's with a 7-iron. Obviously it's going the same distance as a 6 because I've de-lofted the club, swung on the inside and hooked the ball around. That's going to make the ball have a little bit more topspin. Now for the 5-iron. The reason why I'm using the 5-iron is because I'm going to put more loft on the club. When putting loft on the club, it's going to come out like a 6-iron, like I did with a 7-iron when I de-lofted it. Because I'm going left to right, the ball's going to go higher and come down softer, so it's not going to fly as far. So this time I'm going to play the ball off my left foot with my stance well open, aiming to the left, well left of the target, but with the club face aiming to the flag. And from here I'm going to swing on the outside and come across the ball, and the ball's going to bend left to right. That's the fade with the 5-iron. Now let's look at the 3 points again. I've played 3 different clubs, a 7-iron, which I played back in my stance, and pushed my hands forward to de-loft the club, which has changed it into a 6-iron. Obviously with a 6-iron, which I hit straight over the tree, I played naturally. And the 5-iron, I played it forward and put more loft on it, which has changed it into a 6-iron. So all 3 clubs, it just shows you that you can hit the same distance by moving the ball back in your stance or moving the ball forward in your stance. The dreaded 60-yard shot, most amateurs hate. Basically there's 2 ways of playing this shot. When I'm playing a lot of pro-ams, I see amateurs trying to play the harder shot of the 2, which is a flop shot, high in the sky, trying to stop it too quickly. That's where they make a lot of mistakes. Hitting the ground before the ball or hitting the ball halfway through where it skins through the green. But basically what I find, play the shot, to get it on the green and get a little bit of spin, is to play the ball back in your stance, almost level with your right foot, with your hands forward and going down the shaft a little bit. Make sure your hands go down the shaft, because if your hands are down the shaft, you can actually swing the club a little bit faster for the distance to create spin. So once you got the ball back in your stance, making sure as well you've got your weight on your left foot. If you keep your weight on your left foot, that's going to help the club to come down a bit steeper, hit the ball and then the turf. What we don't want to have is to have your weight back, hitting the ground first and then the ball, which is going to cause the ball to go into the water. So keep your hands forward, keep the shaft in front, the weight forward and punch down on it. I know if I do that every time, the ball's going to go on the green or somewhere near. Perhaps I can make a par or a birdie from there. But if I do play the other shot, it's a very difficult shot to play and it's not very consistent unless you're very confident. Having the ball forward and a big long swing. Most pros can play the lob shot and they're used to it. If I recommend anything, play it back in your stance, your hands forward. At least you're going to get it on the green and make a birdie or a par. It's going to be more consistent. Play the ball back in your stance, almost level with your right foot, with your hands forward and going down the shaft a little bit. Making sure as well you've got your weight on your left foot. Keep the shaft in front, the weight forward and punch down on it. A lot of people have trouble with chipping. I see that a lot, Again, you see people around the green and they're duffing it and thinning it and everything. Again, the club it's got loft on it. You put it back in your stance and you hit the ball into the ground and the ball pops up. People don't do that, especially amateurs. It does take a little bit of bottle to do. Open it up, slow, slow. Okay, come on, you can do this one. Who's going to have a go at it? Come on in. You got it? We'll give you a nice lie there. How's that? Oh, we got a little bit of a jerk going on that one, haven't we? Let's take it back a bit further. You're good at that shot, aren't you? Aim a bit more this way. Come around a bit more. Come on, move your feet. That's it. That's it. When you go back, break your wrist a little. That's it. Oh, it's up in the air, wasn't it? That's the club. Well, here we are around the chipping green, maybe missed the green. Looking to save a few shots. This is where you can win or lose tournaments. Basically, I'm 8 yards off the green here. A lot of people I see, a lot of amateur players, will tend to get the pitching wedge out or the sand iron and try and chip the ball up to the pin and try and spin it. What I want to do is try and save shots. And the simplest way for me here is to pitch it onto the green and let the ball run out. I'm using an 8 iron. You know, I could use a 7 iron or I could even use a putter. But for this shot, particularly where I feel like I need to land the ball, is with an 8 iron. And basically, playing this shot, I feel like I'm playing a long putt shot. I have the ball back in my stance with my hands forward, keeping my hands forward, and then what I'm going to do is take it back with no wrist. I don't want to break my wrist or chop it. Just nice in one piece and pull the club forward and punch it. It's almost like a little punch shot. So the ball's going to run all the time. And if you can get to play this shot, it can save you a lot of shots. So again, concentrating, having it back in your stance, your hands forward, and keeping your wrist very stiff. And getting the imagination what the ball's going to do. So remember to keep the ball back in your stance, your hands forward, and keeping your wrist very stiff. Play the pitch and run, and it's going to save you a lot of shots. Here we have a 30-yard shot over a bunker where we've got to be able to try and stop the ball very quickly. And it is a very delicate shot. A lot of amateurs don't like this one. Where before we had the 60-yard shot where we could either play 2 choices, but this time we've only got one, is to play the flop shot. Right, playing this shot, you've got to play the ball from off the left foot. And concentrating, what we're trying to do is get the ball up as fast as possible to make it stop. Playing the ball off your left foot is going to take a lot of pace off the ball. So you've got to hit the ball a lot harder than you think. So standing open, very much open, even 20 or 30 yards to the left. But always remember to have the club face aiming at the target again. Because if you have it facing left or right, the ball's not going to end up where you need it to. Aim the club face at the target, and what we're going to do here, we need a little bit more wrist break on the backswing, so the wrist break, and when we're coming through, we're going to come across the ball, keeping the club face pointing to the sky all the time. Another good tip on this one is to feel like your arm, your left arm, is staying close to your body and coming across the ball. So let's see if we can pop this up in the air and make it stop. And the ball pops up in the air. Always remember as well to swing the club nice and long and nice and free. If you get a little bit short, you're not going to get the distance, or you're going to hit behind the ball or even thin it. So once you've got the club face nice and open, keep it open and swing long, and the ball will come down nice and soft. So once again, aim the club face at the target, feet to the left, take the club on the outside with a bit of wrist, come through keeping your left arm to your body and keeping the face to the target. The long bunker shot is a very difficult shot, even for the pros. For most amateurs it'll be even more difficult. So what I'm trying to do on a long bunker shot, especially when the sand's a little bit soft, what I'm going to try and do is move the ball back in my stance a little bit, obviously to get more distance. But again, you know, if I catch too much sand or none of the sand, the ball is not going to come out correct. So what I try to do on a long bunker shot is move it back a little bit. I keep the face open slightly, not as much as where I'm going to play a high one, a little bit more squarer. And then what I'm going to try and do is take the club a little bit more on the inside line. Where if I was going for a high one, I would take it on the outside line. So why I'm trying to do that on the inside is to come in shallower and not take so much sand. And hopefully the bounce of the club will bounce into the sand and fetch the ball out. So let's have a go at that. A little bit on the inside. That's not too bad. So remember, when you're playing a long bunker shot, is to move it back in your stance, still standing open, but swing it back on the inside, not on the outside. Or if you swing it on the outside, you're going to tend to hit too much sand or it's too thin. So we want to go on inside and keep it shallow. That one is better. Then it's going to make the ball go forward and then spin. Obviously, if we want to make the ball go up in the air a little bit more, to stop a bit more quicker, we'd have it a little bit more further forward. When we rub your feet into the ground as well, that helps to make you feel that, for me anyway, I don't need to hit down on the sand because I've lowered myself down 2 or 3 inches already. So when I'm concentrating on hitting the ball, I'm just taking a normal swing as well. To make this ball go a bit higher, I'm going to take it a bit straighter back. The club face open, and on the backswing you need to take it on the outside line and then come across the ball. And this will help you pop the ball in the air outside the line, cutting across again. But the ball is going to have difficulty getting all the way to the distance of it, to the pin, if I'm going to play the ball too far forward. And obviously, again, when we get into the bunker, you come and you get a plug lie. Again, you need to have the ball back in your stance with the club face a little bit more squarer now. So not open, square. And what you want to do is keep your weight on your left foot, taking the club up a little bit steeper and hitting down into the sand, which will pop up the ball. But remember, the ball is never going to spin, only going to go with topspin. So for this sort of shot, it's going to run 20 or 30 yards to get to where it's going to come to a stop. So back in the stance, face a little bit shut if anything, keep your weight on your left foot, up steep and pop down, and the ball's going to run out, never with any spin. So going through them 3 again, the long bunker shot, back in the stance, swing it on the inside to get the distance. To get more of a flop shot, play it off the left foot, a little bit more on the outside and come across it. That'll make the ball go a bit higher but not as far. And last of all, the plug lie is to play back in the stance with the club face shut, pick it up steep and hit down on the ball. This is a very difficult shot for me. This is one of the places where you don't want to end up in a bunker, on the downslope, near the end of the bunker, so you've got to pick up the club very steeply. I'll just show you that shot again. It's because I really do enjoy getting in bunkers and having challenges. But again, I like to say, remember the time when we were hitting a few shots, when we were hitting some uphill shots, and then I was going to explain to you how I hit downhill shots as well. When we're hitting a downhill bunker shot like this, you need a wide stance with all your weight on your left foot, with your shoulders on the same angle as a bunker. And once you've done that, that's to get good balance. And what we need from here is to make sure we pick up the club very steeply to get past this lip as well. And once we got very steep, we need to hit down into the sand to pop the ball up. Obviously, if we try to lift the ball up, we're going to hit the lip. Or we try to keep the club too long, we're going to hit the lip again. So try and pick up the club very steep and hit down on the shot. Hopefully that'll just get on the green and I'll get down in 2 putts. You know, I'm not going to have a double bogey. you need a wide stance with all your weight on your left foot, with your shoulders on the same angle as a bunker. Break the wrist early and punch down. Well, here we are at Celtic Manor on the 18th green. It's a lovely green for getting a lot of feel and a lot of touch. It's got a lovely lot of burrows, especially I've set up some tee pegs for 3 different kinds of exercises. As you know, you've seen Augusta where there's lots of slopes on the green, and this one I'm coming to now is to show you the pace and the line, what you need to do on a really big swinging putt. So we're going to putt along the tee pegs and try and imagine the ball is going to stop up here on the top and let it die down to the hole. All we need is to touch it very gently. It's going to fall down the slope and roll up to the pin, and hopefully we can 2-putt. I wish I could do that every time. As you can see, I've used my imagination and my touch to get the ball along these tee pegs right up to the top of the hill and slowly die down to the hole. Typically, of Sunday afternoon golfers, they get their ball and they're in a certain place on the green and they think, well, there's only a foot of break on this. So they aim too straight at the pin, not taking enough of burrow, and they wonder why they can't get the ball to stop at the hole, because it's going to swing too much, and when it finishes it's going to run 6 or 7 feet past the hole and to the left. So again, take your time when you're on a green like this. I'm sure on your golf course you're going to get one of these sometime, or even playing a different course. What we're going to do is try and imagine we're going to put the ball down the side of the tee pegs, get it to the top of the hill and run down the hill. And hopefully the ball will come down nice and soft and stop fairly close so I can 2-putt. Remember, take your time, use your imagination, and that's how you're going to get the ball close to the hole or even in. Well, here we are again. What I've done here, I've put some tee pegs approximately 2 foot around the hole. And what I'm going to try and do is hit some putts from 35 feet up the hill and try and get them into this area. And I'm quite confident once I can get them into this circle, I'm going to be able to 2-putt. As you can see, it's uphill a little bit and it's from 35 feet. Another thought is, whilst I'm talking about it, is to remember to swing the putter long enough uphill, because as I've seen, and I do myself, I tend to swing the putter too short going back. So remember, what we're going to try and do, and use the imagination again, is to get it into that 2-foot area so I can 2-putt. Making sure, again, that I'm swinging the putter long enough back to get the ball up to the hole. If I swing the putter too short back, it's not going to reach the hole. So concentrate, trying to swing the putter back long enough and through, so I'm going to get it up with plenty of power and get it up to the hole. Whilst I'm here, I've got another little tip for you. It's what I used to keep my head still. I'll get a pencil and I put it in my mouth and I aim the pencil at the ball. I know if I do that, it's going to keep my head still. So remember, swing the putter far enough back and through, and use your imagination, and that's going to help you to putt. Well, here we are. I've set up a few tee pegs, only 6 foot long. This putt is the make or break putts. You know, you can save so many good rounds by holding putts from this distance. Everybody knows that you need to swing the putter back square and through square, especially on 6 foot putts. The grip, as everybody knows, it doesn't matter which way you hold the putter really. It's basically, if you feel comfortable, you can use the overlapping grip, the ordinary grip. The index finger is a little bit shorter, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you feel comfortable with and able to swing the putter back square and through square is going to make the ball go in the hole. That's all you want to do. So basically what I've done with these tee pegs here is I've tried to put them in a straight line. So when I've got my head over the ball, to concentrate, I got my head over the ball, and I'm going to see down the line, straight down the line, a straight line. And again, what helps me is to able to swing the putter square and through square. And that's what we're going to try and do to make everything even, is back square, through square, and hopefully the ball will go in the hole. I know this has got a little bit of a left to right swing, but basically I'm trying to hit it down them tee pegs all the time. And I spent a lot of hours practicing this. As I say, this is where you're going to save the scores. I've also got a little exercise as well, which a putter I made last year, which helped me a lot to get a few of these in, because it's got an hinge on it. As you can see, when I put the putter behind it, and if I swing the putter too quick or come through and I try to hit too quick, it's gonna wobble like that. For this, why I use this putter is to get a lot of good rhythm. Slow back, slow through. Many pros practice from this distance a lot. That's the way to do it. And that's, to hold these putts, you need a lot of good rhythm. Just trying to keep my head still there. It's a good place to check your swing when you've had a day's playing golf. Just using a mirror, a reflection there with a picture in the background. Just seeing if my head's staying still and turning my shoulders. It looks all right to me. I think we'll pop in now and have a beer. Well, here we are in the bar after a long day's golf. Still thinking about a few exercises to do. Especially one I tell my mates when I'm in the bar is, you know, I can be sitting on a bar stool like this, and I'm just trying to make sure I get my legs in the right position from when I'm on my backswing. So what I try to do, a good little exercise is put my arms together and try and turn my shoulders. Trying to do a little exercise to make sure I'm getting my back to the target. There is another one I also do as well. Can't quite use this stool. It's a bit too high for me because I've only got little legs. You can use the chair, which is very good for practicing your posture. It's getting you feeling like your backside is sitting on the edge of it and getting your knees nicely bent. And that's really good for getting your balance and your posture right. Swinging your arms from there, feeling like you're staying on the bar stool. This is really good for getting your posture, your back nice and straight, and your head over the ball. And also, I've got another little toy over here as well. There's a tray. You know, you could actually be a waiter if you wanted to. But what I use this for is to do a little bit of practice. When I want to get to the top of the swing, I want to feel that the tray is holding on my right arm. That gives you a good position in your right hand, so it's in the right place to come down and be square at the ball. And also, the tray is good as well. You can just put it in your left hand, but when you go back and when you come through, you turn the tray over, and that's a really good feeling to draw the ball. It's a really good thing to work with. It's like almost having a ball in your hand. Open and close the door again. That's a very good exercise. So I'm not always in the bar drinking. I'm always having a bit of fun with a few things as well. We're all going to shoot 65 today, aren't we? One thing about golf as well, when you hit one good shot, you can hit another good one as well. I mean, it's only a matter of spending a bit of time on the practice ground, loosening up, and getting a little bit more consistent. Good day today. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Sure. Okay. There you are. There you go then. Okay. All right.